Welcome back, guys. Today I'm gonna let the chicks loose and I'm gonna do a bunch of chores around the house. But first I need to disconnect. I don't want to get zapped. Probably wondering, what is that? What is that plastic fence in front of the Premiere1 electric netting? Well, as you know, my chicks can fit through these holes. They still can. It's been 2 weeks since I built that temporary chicken run, but I want them out. I want them out here, you know, doing their thing. So the only way that I can bring them out here to this area is if I can prevent them from going through the fence, at least for the next 2 weeks. As they get bigger, they fatten up, they're not going to be able to, obviously. So my wife and I built this fence here, which is plastic PVC, and the holes are way much smaller. They can't go through, meaning that if a fox comes from that side and spooks them, they'll probably try to go through the fence over here. They're not going to be able to anymore because of the plastic small holes, and I don't have chicks on the other side, which will become vulnerable to a fox. And by the way, 2 days ago I came face to face with a fox. I was standing probably right there, and the fox was about 15 feet away. It was crossing from that side to the other side, and that fox stopped for about 2 seconds, took a good look at me, and then it just kept on moving. I do have to say that I don't want to do any harm to the fox. The fox that I saw, probably a female fox, and the fox was a beautiful animal. And I can understand why foxes go after chickens, because, you know, obviously they have to feed their young. So my purpose here is to keep the fox from eating my chickens. Let them eat whatever else they eat out there, but not my chickens. So what am I gonna do now? I'm just gonna pull back the temporary run and let them loose, and then I'm gonna give them some scratch feed. All right, boys and girls. Here we go. Here we go. Freedom! Now I keep them locked in this run when I travel, when I go places, and then when I come home, I let them loose. Today is the second day of freedom. There we go. This one's Lila. This one's Ivana. That's Bella. You got Carmen, El Jefe, El Guapo over there. Tippy, right there. Most of them have names. Wow. So this is how I did it, guys. I bought 2 rows of 50 foot each plastic fencing like this, 4 feet high, and then I bought maybe about 14 T-posts, and I put them obviously at each corner and in between. And yeah, I figured this is about maybe 85 feet total that I used, and it came out pretty good. Right now the chickens are having a hard time going through this. They can't. Okay, and I just wanted to point out one other thing. You see these latches right here? There's one here and another one here. Some people seem to be confused about them. They feel that this latch should latch to this one over here, or should connect to this one over here. Now that is wrong. Fences should not connect to each other. So some people seem to feel that there should be a closed loop on this fence. That's not right. And I'm gonna let Premiere1 the people that made the fence, that designed it and sell it, tell you themselves.
Hi folks, I'm Joe from Premiere1 Supplies, and today we're going to be installing electric netting in our pasture. So let's see what we need to get started. We're going to be installing Premiere's Electronet 93512. This is an 82-foot roll with normal spacing between the posts, so that's going to be in the 10 to 12-foot range. This is a shredded versus a string net, but the process is the same for both types of net. So I have this roll. Now that I've come around my paddock with netting, I'm ready to end it. I'm going to undo my terminal post here. That way I can tie both nets together. Since I'm setting my energizer at this point, I don't have to connect these two nets. Netting does not have to connect back to itself because I'm connected electrically throughout the rest of my paddock. So I'll just clip the connections back to itself, back to the nets. That way they're not dangling later. I'm now ready to install my energizer. To install your energizer, connect the energizer's ground clip to the ground rod. Connect the fence lead, which is usually either orange or red, to your fence. Turn on your energizer.
And also they have a couple of articles online that talks about this very topic. Here's an article from Premiere1 itself. This is a PDF I pulled from their website, the Premiere1 website. And one of the FAQs is this one. Number 1, does it have to make a circle? No. What completes an electric fence circuit is the animal touching the fence, not the fence connecting back to itself. When an animal touches the fence, the electric pulse travels through it, into the ground, and back to the energizer. Now, if you scroll down to page 9, I believe, it answers the question again. Does net have to make a full circle for a pulse to occur? No. The pulse path is from the net to the soil, then back to the energizer. It's a mistake to attach electrically the far end of the net to the beginning. And here they're showing you that yes, you can connect the two hooks together, but only if you have 2 rolls or more. This is only to connect multiple rolls. But it's a mistake, like they said, to connect the far end of the net to the beginning. So as you saw, it's a mistake, which is something that I tell people all the time. Which brings me to my next point. Anytime you buy equipment of any type, make sure you follow manufacturer's instructions, not what some guy on the internet said. And I've seen one video where the guy was making a closed loop. That's a mistake. I can take this fence and I can make a straight line 300 feet long. This is 100 foot, but I can connect 2 other sections to it. Straight line from here all the way back to the back of my property. And I'll still get the 7,000, 8,000 volts here in the front that I'll get at the very end. That's how netting works. So again, there's no need to close your circuit or have a closed loop. And before I install that fence, that's exactly what I did. I followed manufacturer's instructions. I had to make some coffee. And yes, I do have a coffee addiction, as a lot of you know. All right, so on to my next task. This compost, I'm gonna move to the back. I'm gonna show you where. I'm gonna move it to the back of the house using my tractor. And I'm also gonna give you a garden tour. Yay! All right, so that compost for now is gonna go right behind my porch where the previous owner had his pool installed. He took it out, by the way, a long time ago. Right here, it's gonna go right here for now. I just want it out of the way. And I could not think of a better place than this. So yeah, if I ever had to fill this in with dirt and plant here, that compost is going to do a lot of good there. However, my wife doesn't want me to fix this. She wants a pool there too. It's not in our budget. not this year. Maybe next year, who knows, but I don't want to tell her. But anyway, my garden, check it out. I took my other 100-foot Premiere1 fence and I put it here. My wife helped me out to install it. It was very, very quick. And the reason is because we noticed that rabbits, probably deer, were eating some of my plants. Not my tomatoes, not my peppers, but definitely my kale, Swiss chard, and cabbage on the other side. But check out these plants, guys. Look how big they are. There's my potatoes, my garlic, flowers, my squash. Everything's growing nicely. And remember those little tomato plants? Look how big they are. Wow. Now, before I put this fence here, at least 2 days, maybe 3 days before I put this fence here, I put the other fence around the herb garden. I wasn't planning on doing a Premiere1 fence, meaning this white fence, but after, you know, I noticed that either deer or some other animal were starting to eat my other plants, I decided to put it up anyway. But before all this, I put this here because I have rabbits. My rabbits are under my shed. And I know that the rabbits were jumping into this bed. They ate my cilantro and parsley, but now they're doing okay. Now this fence, this plastic fence, oh, by the way, I put 4 T-posts and a plastic fence around it. So this fence was doing good. For those days that I had it up before the white one, it was doing well. And the rabbits can no longer get up there. And I also planted a purple basil. Check it out. And I also planted dill. So I have a little bit more now than I had before. This is my butternut squash here. That's my acorn squash on the other side. And these are my Dragon Express and Carolina Reapers over there. They're not too big. They're not doing as good as I thought they should be doing, but it's a little cold still these days. Today's what, June 11th? But everything else is doing very, very well. We're gonna have a nice big harvest this year. All right, so normally to deter deer, you need an 8-foot high fence. Yeah, 8 feet high. And this is only 48 inches. All right, but why is it working? It's working because there are too many obstacles on the other side. Deer, they need a little bit of an impulse in order to jump inside, and they can't, even though this is only 48 inches high. This is only half the length that's recommended to deter deer. The reason they can't get in, because you have that obstacle over there, and a bunch of other obstacles on the other side. So they won't even try. Everything's too close together. I mean, if I were a deer, this would be the only spot probably that I could jump. I could, you know, get a little bit of impulse here on this ground, jump there, and maybe land over there with the between the 2 raised beds. But are they going to? They haven't yet. And the fence has been up for a week. Alright guys, so here it is. I am completely done. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hose down the tractor. It's got a lot of pollen all over it. Yeah, it's a little dirty. It's not perfect, but good enough for government work. And that's how you remove a bucket from the Kubota BX. And by the way, I do have a cheat sheet.
Even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm.